Welcome, Pisces, to your Pluto retrograde 5 month deep dive forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. From May the 6th through to October the 16th, Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, retraces its steps in the air sign of Aquarius by 2 degrees and 27 minutes. Pluto is very much about the collective. The sign of Aquarius is very much about how we're connected. But what does Pluto retrograde in Aquarius mean for you personally? On the screen is your event chart, the exact moment that Pluto stations retrograde. All the other planetary influences, including your two rulers of Neptune and Jupiter, are very influential. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding of what's in store for you in terms of energy, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive, but please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. I'd just like to reprise something, please. So if we go back to March 2023, Pluto made its first entrance into Aquarius, which represents your 12th house, for 10 weeks. It returned on his birthday, the 21st of January 2024, through to the 1st of September. It returned to your sector of friendship, connection, and network through to the third week of November that year. But since then until now, Pluto's been in your 12th house. Pluto in the 12th house is not for the faint-hearted. The 12th house can be very much to do with deep review. It can be our psychological, emotional, and spiritual dimension, but it can also be about the shadow side of ourselves and life. The 12th house can be where secret enemies, as they say in traditional astrology, shows up. But if you've been tuning into my videos recently, you'll know that Pluto has actually been a real asset to you, reminding you of your deep knowledge, experience, skills, and talent, which just maybe need to be repurposed in some kind of fresh way. So we can use Pluto in the 12th house to our advantage. But on the screen, you can see that Pluto's just in that retrograde. However, the first months of Pluto retrograde, there is an echo of Aries energy. Why is that? Well, I use a technique called Dwarves. You may have heard of it. It's more common in Vedic astrology. It's the 12th harmonic. You divide the 30 degrees by 12, you get 2.5 degree segments. The first dward of Aquarius is ruled by Aquarius, the second by Pisces. The third, from 5 degrees, is ruled by Aries. So through to the 23rd of June, whilst Pluto, despite its retrograde, is in that area, you could feel more feisty and passionate at times, particularly if people are not necessarily being quite as pleasant as they could be. But then from the 23rd of June right through to the 16th of October, it's going to have more of an echo of your sign, and you can work with that energy very well. But what Pluto immediately does is clashes with Mercury. And Mercury in the third house has an echo of Gemini energy, even though the host, Taurus, is concerned with values, money, being more practical in the way we think and communicate. But because the third house can be about quick shared messages, put it bluntly, gossip, and the 12th house can be about those people who are not necessarily showing their hand, just be aware that I would steer clear of people or situations or even social media that you know tends to get under your skin. So if there are people, you might even quite like them, but they just have a capacity to seize on any juicy tidbit, and before you know it, everybody knows the story. Just be very protective about the information, the third house, Mercury, the tidbits that you're sharing, because you need to be protective. That's an exact square. It could also mean that something you feel very profoundly sensitive about may get discussed in what appears to be kind of a frivolous way, which could also be a bit triggering for you personally. So just be conscious of that. However, The moon is in the sign of Capricorn and is squaring Saturn. And that's the second quite tricky aspect. And here, the moon being in the friendly 11th house, but in the serious Capricorn, how do we square that? Maybe people you work with, colleagues, but that square with Saturn in the second house can be about your values, but also perhaps about money. So if your long-term situation at the moment has a degree of uncertainty, then that can introduce a little bit more concern into your deeper psyche, which is what Pluto in the 12th house is very much about, and particularly in the retrograde, which is, if you like, a very deep review. But I'm being truthful with you. That's the tough stuff. I'm now going to tell you all the great stuff. And let's start with your wonderful traditional ruler, Jupiter. It's in the fifth house through to the end of June. The fifth house can be demonstrative, warm, affectionate, and generous, but it also can be playful and definitely romantic. Jupiter can, of course, be about good fortune through its Sagittarius rulership, but it's in a fabulous link with the sun. So, as much as Mercury in that square with Pluto should make you guarded with people you're not sure of, if there are people you are sure of and feel very psychologically secure, Pluto in the 12th, you could have some very bubbly conversations over the next 5 months. Could be flirty, could be romantic, could be great fun, certainly social. So it's a case of not the quantity, but the quality when it comes to your friends, but also steer clear of anyone who tends to soak up your energy because energetic exchange is something I've become a lot more aware of over the time, over the years, because even if we think someone's an okay person, sometimes you can really like someone, but after they've gone, you think, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And so there are people almost like stress carriers. They're very bubbly and jolly, and they're hard not to like. But then when they go, we feel that we're drained. So just be conscious of those kind of dimensions. Be conscious of people at work who may be okay, but you're not quite sure of. There are vulnerabilities there because you need to work on this deep period of review without getting people getting in the way of your sense of security to do that. And I think Neptune's link to Pluto is really very, very valuable because that can be very much to do with healing. The second house could be about thinking about what you're eating and drinking, trying to up the standard of that, even if you are pretty careful, because Neptune can be very much about we have a shower, our body's an organ. If we don't have a filter on that shower, we're getting whatever's coming out of the local, as I was a kid, the corporation pop. But there's a lot of contaminants in water these days. So be conscious of that. That's a way that you can purify your system by being more careful about what you eat and drink. Also, Mars, the planet of passion, is in a terrific link with Venus. If you want to convert your talents into making more money, but from the comfort of your home, terrific aspect, that one. And then, of course, we've got Uranus, which has moved into your fourth house. So over the next 7 years, the chances are you could move, or you could declutter, or you could decide that you want your home to be much more functional, get rid of all the objets d'art, just make it really quite, you know, zen. Did you know my first business in astrology was called Zodiac and Zen, selling personal horoscope reports? Yes, it was. So you may want to make your space more zen over the next 7 years. But what you can do is draw from those very depths of your soul, because you can do that better than any zodiac sign, inspiration that can reshape your emotional world or where you live in a fantastic way, or use your abode as a place of business. Because I repeat my previous comment about your sign is the sign of culmination, spiritual culmination for the overall zodiac. But for you personally, you can benefit from all the travails of all the planets moving through the sky because when they terminate with you, they've had a lot of experience by then. So you can soak up lots of different influences from all of them. And that's what makes Pisces people so fascinating, but also very complex. and not at all just the soft touch that the archetypes often say Pisces people are. You know, it can work at so many different levels, but that ability to dig deep into your resources, because what's happening is as Pluto reverses, so Jupiter advances, so they're going to be in a trine for pretty well the rest of this year. Seize that opportunity through this retrograde to make progress. So I've produced a uh, Survive and Thrive workbook about the mythology, the astronomy, the astrology. Um, I've also outlined what Pluto's like in each of the zodiac signs. No one, unless they're very, very young, no more than 2.5 years, has had it in Pluto in Aquarius recently. Um, but also all the houses. So you can download that for free at the end of the video. But please stay with me as I summarize those four areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances. But just to say, Pisces, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscopes. So they're now three for the price of one. The one you pay for is your life roadmap, which helps us to understand the patterns that are played out in our lives so far, but get a more intimate understanding of what they are and how to work with them better future forwards. But free, 12 months transits, and also your Draconic Soul Karmic chart. They're both three. Why? Well, I've been into astrology since I was 14. I've been full-time for 30 years. I'm just very passionate about it. I really feel that natal astrology helps us all to navigate this tricky old life that much better. And so I want to do my bit to help more people understand it. Now, if you've yet to watch your May monthly forecast, that's on the screen, your Uranus into Gemini 1 year forecast on the screen. If you'd like to work with me directly, please check out my testimonials below. If you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, please sign up for that below. So, to summarize, when it comes to your professional situation, I think your ideas zone with the sun in that third house, along with Mercury, which is forging a great link with the North Node in your sign. So instinct with intellect, but that link with your traditional ruler Jupiter is very, very positive indeed. Also, we have the link between Pluto and Uranus, suggesting using old talents, experiences, and skills, but in a new, fresh way, but where you get maximum flexibility and freedom around your personal life. So if you've got kids, or you've got another job, or you're supporting a partner, something that's more arty, or more to do with healing, or more to do with anticipating people's needs, very, very strong for you. As far as your physical vitality is concerned, Pluto in the 12th house in a retrograde could see you become more aware of some past hurts and traumas, and that could have an impact on your energy. Also, the moon in that friendly 11th house in the not super friendly Capricorn. I don't mean that unkindly. I've got a lot of Capricorn. Capricorns have a great sense of humor, but it is a pretty serious place to be. But it does say that when it comes to your professional friendships and associations, keep your guard up. Keep your guard up generally, unless it's with people you really feel comfortable with. And then in a romantic context, I think it looks great too. Finances, well, Saturn does continue in your second house. We can't change that. But Mars is there and forges a square with Jupiter. The second, fifth is great for speculation. As long as you really know what you're doing, you could benefit because as you could do that deep trawl through your subconscious, have moments of very powerful quiet and meditation, lots of different ideas will come up for you. So please download that Pluto retrograde Survive and Thrive guide. Please see that below. Lovely to spend time with you. Thank you, and look forward to seeing you again soon.